Welcome, everyone who is watching this presentation. I am Zayan Fayaz. I'm from Reethi Beach Resort. I'm the marketing manager, PR and marketing manager here. So this presentation is a general understanding of, sorry, can you hear me, by the way?
And you're loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. This presentation is is to get a general understanding of Reethi Beach and the feel of the resort, what kind of place it is, and what we are selling essentially. And it just gives you an overall understanding of the property and the rooms and the services and things like that. All right, so starting off, well, I think we should start off saying that this is a resort that is it's over 20 years old with a new management that has started in 2020 itself. But mostly the resort is planning to keep the same feel and vibe of what has really made it successful over the last 2 decades as well. Now, as you can tell from many pictures and the website and most of the way that we present ourselves online as well, our core values show a typical Maldivian island, which is largely untouched and if you visit, you'd feel very in touch with nature. There are a lot of focuses on things like sustainability and having a very like familiar feeling of revisiting, which is what all of our repeat guests really like about it. They feel like family, and there is a very large repeating customer base for the resort. So it's a very friendly atmosphere, and that's what we are trying to communicate as well. If you have seen our social media recently, you'd notice that most of the comments are coming from people who have already visited us, and they're always commenting something nice about the place. So we even started posting about what do you like about what kind of memory do you have with this room or with that place? And as you can see, there's a very big response that we're getting every time on Facebook, on Instagram. So just have a look. We're located within Ba Atoll, and as you can tell, again, with our social media recently, we've been posting a lot about Hanifaru Bay and the manta rays, whale sharks, and the marine life which is nearby. And they even came into our house reef recently. So it's very evident that there's a lot of life in the ocean near us, and it's a very prime location in terms of excursions and diving as well. It's accessible by seaplane, 35 minutes to reach the island, and a domestic flight would take 20 minutes plus a speed boat ride of about 15 minutes. These numbers can vary depending on weather and connections, so sometimes the seaplanes might have one or two stops in other places before landing. Sometimes it's the other way around. We might be the first stop. It all depends on the day and the weather and the situation. So the size of the island is 600 by 200 meters, and there are 129 rooms. There are four room categories, and out of the four, there is one in particular that's new, but there's only one room for that category, and that is the family suite. We'll get to that in a while. Like I said before, the house reef is quite amazing, and it's directly accessible from the beach. It's the beach and the house reef are both things that are unique selling points of the resort. The type of room that is the most popular is most probably the water villa, according to our website. And any statistics that we check online as well, people most likely will navigate to the water villa page first. Sometimes, if there is a guest who is looking to stay in a water villa, but it might be out of their budget to stay for the whole period, they might book for another room type. And the water villa, maybe a half and half stay or something like that as well. So, like I said before, the Reethi family suite has one unit and it has two bedrooms. It has a shared space. There are multiple rooms from the other three categories. Now, the other facilities of the island include 5 restaurants and 5 bars. During COVID, all of them are not operational. It will all depend on the occupancy. the higher the occupancy goes, the more operational different parts will be. But we're still making sure that all of the guests are happy and that all of their needs are met, regardless of which parts are operational or not. And so far, everyone is quite happy as well. Um, the reception is open 24 hours. There is a spa and there is a water sports and dive center, lots of excursions. There is a sports center with a pool, a tennis court, and and there's a gym and all of these different things like that as well. So it's quite well equipped for people who are adrenaline junkies and people who want to be very active. It's also a good fit for someone who wants to come and relax in the Maldives. So both opposites are welcome. There is a boutique, and you can buy different types of souvenirs and any kind of, well, it depends on the season as well, most probably, but there'll be apparel and different types of things like of that sort as well. Another point that a lot of couples like to visit Reethi Beach is for honeymoons, weddings, or even renewal of vows. Now, these are all symbolic, but they're very attractive to a lot of tourists because they like to think of it as a very romantic destination. It all depends on their likes and dislikes, but most of the time, their trips are very similar, and they like to if they have just gotten married, they like the honeymoon packages and things like that as well. Some of them really like the private dinner experiences, and during this time as well, I would say it would be nice for guests as well who really are worried about things like social distancing. If they have a private dinner experience away from, areas that other guests might be, these are all things that we are ready to do. So the first room category that we're talking about is Reethi Villas, and we have 48 units altogether on the east and west. They are the basic room category. As you can see, there's a bed, there's a TV, and there's a small terrace space outside. It's, sorry, there's an open air bathroom, and the maximum occupancy is 2 adults and 1 child. And yeah, if you have any questions about this, like I said, you can follow up with us. The next room category is the deluxe villa. This is the one that I recently posted about on our social media, and there were so many comments coming of different people saying about telling us about their memories there. Now, the difference between the previous room category and this one, there's an extra space for lounging, as you can see over there, and it's quite similar in every other aspect. As you can see, there's a swing outside as well, in addition, which is quite nice, and it has become like a popular point that is being made about these rooms as well by the guests who are staying there. And it's a typical Maldivian swing, like I said before. The traditional values of what Maldivian looks and feels like is usually upheld in the aesthetic of the resort. Then we have the water villas, which, like I said before, is the most popular online and in every other browsing aspect as well. We have 30 units, as you can see on the screen here, all the numbers are there. And the outside space, as you can see, there's a in between, you could call it a privacy kind of wall that would block the view from the next rooms, and it's quite a nice space for occupants to stay outside without any sort of disturbances. Then we have the new room category, which was introduced very recently, and this one we actually have 1 unit on the island. And it's a shared space for larger groups, whether it is a family or a group of friends. Also, it should be fine. 4 adults and 2 children can stay here. So now we're getting to the outlets. Now, when we look at the 5 restaurants, our main buffet restaurant is called the Rehendi, and our 24-hour coffee shop is like an overwater restaurant as well. So it's these are the two main places that I would presume that most guests would go to eat most often, or go for a drink and things like that. Now then we have the Reethi Grill, which is it's in the name. It's a grill where a lot of different types of guests like to go for dining options. So yeah, you can see more about it on our website as well. Then we have the Sama Garden. So this one is a boutique restaurant, and it's quite popular amongst romantic travelers and couples and people like that. And people like to go there for special celebrations. I personally think it's nice during social distancing, as you can see in the picture. Um, yeah, then we have a daytime venue at the pool below that. Right, Raskefan is our main bar. So this is where during nighttime, or when most guests are looking to lounge around or something like that, because this the main bar and the main restaurant and the main areas as such, they also have free Wi-Fi. People like to stay there. This is also where you would have entertainment and more lively activities at night, or after dinner and times like that. Then we have the Sunset Bar, which is very popular, obviously during sunset time, where lots of guests like to go and lounge around and watch the sunset. And because Reethi Beach has a very large space over there on the beach, a lot of guests tend to like that area, even throughout the day as well. Then we have the Veo Bar by the pool. This is near the previous poolside area that you saw in the previous slide. It's quite a refreshing bar because it's by the pool, and you can get different types of options of snacks and drinks. Then there is the Handuvaru bar, where the walk from, I would say, from the water villas is not, it's a very small island, but the longest walk you can have is most probably from the water villas to the main restaurant area or the other side of the island. So it's a nice pit stop to sit down and to relax a little bit, maybe after walking from the main area to the room, and a lot of guests like to lounge there for short periods of time. And at night, it's quite nice as well. Then we have the Riaba. It's near the water sports, and it's also an in-between pit stop-like location. Sometimes we have had mini celebrations and small events there as well. It's quite a nice, lively spot as well. It's mainly a bar. Right. So then we have our meal plans. You may already be familiar with most resorts and the meal plans as similarly to this categorization. So our main always included meal plan would be bed and breakfast, and then we move on to half board, which is breakfast and dinner. And we have full board, which is all three meals, including lunch. Then all inclusive and all inclusive premium. As for the details, I would like to answer your questions more directly rather than through this presentation. I think we also don't have that much time. Anyway, and then other facilities include a 5-star PADI certified dive center. We have water sports, like I said before, snorkeling expeditions. There are lots of guests who like to ask about going to see dolphins, or during manta season, going to see mantas and things like that. Then we have the Spa and Wellness Center, which is, like I mentioned before, quite popular amongst guests who are coming for a relaxing trip, or even if they are coming for a very active trip, maybe it's a good in between um, for a short rest or something of that sort. Then we did have excursions to other islands during COVID. This might be a little bit more difficult to do. Then we have fishing adventures, and then destination dining, like I mentioned before. This was one of the social media posts that actually went viral for us. When we showed a picture of destination dining and said social distancing in style, there were a lot of people who liked it. So maybe that's a popular aspect to start marketing as well. Then there's the weddings and renewal of vows, which is also quite popular. Now, our main unique selling points include, like I said, how natural the island feels and how relaxed it is, and how everyone is felt, how everyone feels like it is a family kind of feeling. They come as a guest and they leave as part of the Reethi family. And we even had a message recently from feedback just yesterday, I think, from a guest who said these exact words as well. Now, the direct access to House Reef from a really nice beach is a combination that some of the newer resorts also may find it difficult to say that they have, because it is so natural, and it there is no area, I would say, of the island that feels like there's something that's missing in terms of how natural and intact it is. Yeah, so then the variety of venues, the great location for the underwater marine life, and everything of within that area is also something that we can say is one of our main selling points. Now, during COVID-19, we have implemented a lot of different procedures and protocols to disinfect and to sanitize areas of the resort after guests use them. All of the staff are wearing masks and always um, taking extra precautions to keep a distance between each other and guests as well. There is sanitizer for available in public areas, restaurants, bars, bathrooms, and if a room is occupied, we ensure that the room is kept empty for at least 24 hours after the departure, and it is also disinfected so that we can ensure that there is no transmission between guests who are leaving and then occupying the room again. So all of these temperature checks upon arrival and different SOPs have been implemented in the resort. We are able to take PCR tests on the island, and the charges are also mentioned over here on the screen. If there are any changes to all of these, we will obviously inform all of our partners as well. All of these safety measures are constantly being re-evaluated, and we're ensuring that if there are any potential gaps also, that we immediately correct them. So especially because most of the time guests don't come into contact with each other very often, it's quite safe in my personal opinion as well during this time. So there are a few things to expect as slight differences during this time. Obviously, depending on the occupancy, the restaurant might have a la carte or a small buffet or an in between, maybe a small buffet plus a la carte. Now, these are all options that we have thought about and discussed before, depending on the number of guests we have, and all of their specific needs are also taken into account. So as you can see over here, we've even talked about how the buffet itself may not exactly be the same as how it used to be. You sure there will be a display of all of the food, but the serving will be done by staff just to make sure that there is a minimization of transmission of any chance of the virus actually going through food. So these are certain changes that we have made, but at the same time, you can imagine that because the staff are doing most of the serving, especially with the new type of buffet, the guest might feel like it's a little bit more exceptional in terms of I am being personally served, and this is a refreshing change as well. We can look at it in a positive light as well. So that's kind of how we're thinking about this, and how if there are guests who may miss how it used to be, at least they'll feel good about how they are getting a very personal service from us and how they have more attention as well. So some of the most frequently asked questions, we like other resorts, we do not have bicycles on the island. It's mostly very relaxed, and the whole island is mostly covered by sand. I don't think there's any area that isn't, other than the parts on the water villa and the jetty. So yeah, and then the second question is about Russian speaking staff. And yes, we will be having a staff member joining us very soon. And this question that we get about kids club, we don't have a kids club. Um, there are activities that kids can engage in over here, but in terms of a kids club itself, no, we don't have that. Um, Snorkeling equipment can be rented from the dive center. Again, I'm sure we have already implemented safety measures with rentals of such equipment as well in terms of sanitization and things like that. And then if in terms of asking the question of which part of the island has a better beach, my personal opinion would be that most of the island all around has a nice beach. But the answer that we would most probably give, especially considering all seasons and everything, would be that the deluxe villas are located, the ones that are located on the western side of the island, is always nice all year round. All water villas have direct staircases into the sea. All rooms are equipped with tea and coffee making facilities and replenished daily. 2 bottles of water are provided each day as well. Um, Additional water would be charged for each day as well. Then at breakfast, a selection of hot beverages will be served complimentary, as well as selection of juices or flavored waters. And then the most frequently asked question that I have dealt with online, especially with collaborators or content creators, is that if we allow drones to fly in the island, and we actually don't. Um, However, if a guest really wants to capture content, aerial content, what we do is we try to facilitate that happening outside the island during an excursion or something like that, because it's mostly about a concern for the privacy of guests, especially with open air bathrooms and things like that. So we look forward to speaking to anyone who has questions. You can contact either me or Rafaela. You can find our details within the event. And if not, you can just find our email addresses from the website as well. So thank you.
Done, Fias. Thank you.